Okay, hello everybody. This is Robbie here, and I wanted to talk to you today about Homeschool Planet. Homeschool Planet is a digital planner, online planner that is set up for homeschoolers, but it can also be used for, say, college students, regular students who want to keep track of homework assignments and projects and extracurricular activities. It really is a very versatile program that can be used for many things. You can manage your household with this program if you want to. And I wanted to talk to you about this program because it was actually kind of a hard sell for me to work with a digital planner. And if you've seen some of my previous videos, I used to use a weekly check sheet for each of my kids, and each curriculum, each subject, each whatever listed on the check sheet would have a checkbox for the number of times that they needed to do it each week. So as they went through their daily tasks, they would just check off as they completed each task, and then by the end of the week, pretty much all the boxes would be checked off. And so this worked pretty well for a while, but I noticed that towards the end of last year, it was starting to not be quite so effective for my older two kids. Now, the youngest one is second grade this year, was in first grade last year, and because I managed all of his activities, it was a really good fit for me. It was perfect for me. The older two, one was 8th grade, the other one was 11th grade. Well, I noticed that they were having a hard time kind of managing their time. It seemed like they were getting a little overwhelmed at seeing everything at a glance. I think there were some executive function issues there, and I needed to get a little more structure into their homeschooling. And when we entered this year, I knew that the scheduling was going to be problematic because the 9th grader, the one that went into 9th grade this school year, was going to be using the same charter that we'd used through 8th grade. Now, through 8th grade, our charter school is curriculum homeschool friendly. What am I trying to say? Basically, you can use whatever curriculum you want. If you want book-based curriculum, you can use book-based curriculum. If you want to use digital curriculum, you can use digital curriculum. If you want to do a combination of both, you can. There's a lot of freedom within the charter school for 4K through 8th grade. Essentially, most of the curriculum we used were things that I would have picked out on my own, to be honest with you. The only thing that would be, restrictive would be religious curriculum. And so I have faith neutral curriculum picked out for them for all the subjects that we use through the charter, and then I have my own Bible curriculum that I have for them. So now that the middle one was going into 9th grade this year, we had debated whether or not we were going to stay with the charter because my oldest had used this particular charter school through 9th grade, or in 9th grade, and he was limited to all digital curriculum, and that was not an option I wanted to do, and it was not an option that my son wanted to do. But they have now become more open to other options. There just needs to be more oversight, with these charter schools for high school because they're issuing a diploma. So there's more accountability there to an outside source, like the teacher on record. So, but because they were open to other options, we ended up being able to continue to use teaching textbooks for Algebra 2. We were able to use a blended science where they go into the school once a week to do hands-on labs, and they do the rest of their work at home. He did a blended English and history class that allowed him to pick all the books that he wanted to read for the history time period that he wanted to study, and then the teacher assigned written assignments for him on a weekly basis to go along with those books. So it was just beautiful the way they, designed some of these classes and customized them. And then he opted to take some classes up at the high school as well. There are some classes that I just can't teach, and it just seem to be a better fit to have in in-person classes for, like computer science, Spanish, or any foreign language. He's taken PE and health as well, and they're on a block schedule and do 5 classes per trimester. So instead of 2 semesters, they have trimesters, and each trimester is 12 weeks. So you essentially do an entire year's worth of curriculum in 24 weeks for 5 classes instead of doing 36 weeks of 7 classes. So when I had to consider all the scheduling mess that I was going to be going through for these kids, now the oldest one had opted also to take a couple classes at the high school. He did English 12 and Spanish 2 at the high school. So I needed a better way to schedule their time, and so I started looking into digital curriculum. Digital planners. And I had looked at free options, and some of them were kind of archaic or clunky or just didn't have features that I wanted. And I did look at this one, Homeschool Planet, at first, but it seemed a little overwhelming when I was looking at, all the different options that it had, and so I had kind of passed it up. But then I ran across a tutorial on this particular planner, and it broke it down so well that I thought, okay, fine, I'll sign up for the 30-day trial. And so I did that, and literally within 10 minutes, I was completely sold, and I bought the program. So the first thing is, if you want to take a look at this program, you have to go to the Homeschool Buyers Co-op website. And this website is a free resource. You do have to sign up, though, in order to take advantage of it. But literally, you become a part of this co-op. There's no charge to do so. And they offer select products for a limited amount of time at a significantly discounted price, and that's no joke. You can see here the savings on some of these programs. This Magic School Bus looks really fun. Save 55%, free shipping, etc., etc. So there's various offers here that you can do. Here's your Homeschool Planet right here. So you have to sign up, and then also whenever you make a purchase from them, you'll get a select amount of smart points, and you can let those accumulate and then redeem those for free stuff. I think we've gotten some Evan Moore PDF, workbooks and that sort of thing. So be sure to, even if you don't use the Homeschool Planet, be sure to sign up for this, because you can get some really good deals here on curriculum. And so let's take a look at the Homeschool Planet. So, okay, so you would click on it here, and it gives you a 30-day trial. And then if you decide to buy it, you can either pay the $70 or whatever, $69.95 for a year, or you can pay by the month, $7.95 a month, and specify X number of months. So like a school year, 10 months or whatever. You don't necessarily have to have it for the whole year if you don't want to. Anyway, you would download, you would sign up for this, and then you would get login instructions. It is completely online, and I will go into ours so you can take a look.
Probably the ultimate weapon in terms of the marine environment in Australia is the sawfish. It's a
Okay,
shark.
if I can get my fingers.
It's got this long rostrum, big long nose that's got these wicked teeth, big teeth that go down the whole side of the saw.
Okay, so when it first pulls up, it's going to pull up everyone's schedule. Okay, so I've got it on March 8th. All right, so here's today. We had no school. We're still in spring break here, so we had no school today. Some of these tasks that are not tied into the school schedule will still show up on these days that we don't have school, so of course we just ignore them. So you can see everybody in my family is here, and so not only do I have the ability to schedule the class work, but I can also schedule my life, errands, appointments, doctor visits. I can make to-do lists. I can literally go in here and make a to-do list and then text it to one of my kids or my husband. If I say need something for the grocery store on my husband's way home from work, need him to stop, I can have that sent directly to his cell phone from here. So it's got so many wonderful functions. You do have some widgets here. This one is automatically loaded, but if you don't want scripture, you can just click here and you can change the widget to whatever you want. You can select if you like the scripture or whatever widget you're using. Usually have a setting option, and in this case you can select the version of the scripture that you want. It gives you lots of different options here. If, say, I wanted to change this weather app or widget, I can change my zip code, and I can change whether I want Fahrenheit or Celsius. This is my little to-do list here. This one doesn't have any setting options, but I can get rid of this if I want. I can add other widgets if I want to. So there's also a way to change the theme. Excuse me. If you want to change the way this looks, I could select that and see it change the whole background. So there's that option as well. And then you want to, of course, it'll walk you through how to set up, your family and all of that. And then, so you can see what it's, how it's organized.
The power of the sawfish has been seen since the days of the dinosaurs. There's evidence of teeth being embedded in the skulls of the
Okay, you set up your subjects, and then within each subject you can schedule assignments or classes or whatever. And so each one is color coded so that when you see that come up on, doesn't matter which student or which member of the family it is, it will automatically have the same color based on what subject it is. So you can see I have quite a few things here. I have a couple of unusual things here. I've got flex here, enrichment, because my youngest takes enrichment classes at the school, and so I've got some and because we use a lot of Timberdoodle, and they have a lot of thinking skills items. We have the thinking skills and STEM and some other things like that for him. And then you also have these other categories that may not be school related. Chores, church, field trips, sports, recreation, all of that kind of stuff. You can set up whatever you want here, and those are color coded as well. So literally you can schedule your life in this software, which is pretty amazing. You can track class hours. So if you want to do that, you can. If your state requires that, you can track that. You can assign some things with regard to grading. You can import your Google Calendar or export this particular calendar to Google Calendar or whatever calendar you're using. There's just a lot of functionality here, and some of it we don't even use, but there's just lots of options here. So then you want to set up a class. Let's say I'm going to take a look here at my Jonathan. He is my 9th grader. Okay, today there's no school, but tomorrow this is what his schedule looks like. I've got him set up to get up at 8:30, and then at 9 o'clock he starts his math, his teaching textbooks. This gives the lesson that he's going to be doing, and when he's done with it, he clicks that to select that he has finished it. There's several options. You can mark it. Now it's giving me this box because we're not on the correct day. This is the 2nd, and this is for the 3rd. So it's scheduled. It's warning me that it's scheduled for the future and asking what we want to do. So you can mark it completely finished when it'll turn green. Well, in this case, you can mark it complete, leave the rest of the schedule unchanged. You can mark it complete and move it to March 22nd class, but leave the rest of the schedule unchanged. You can mark it complete and move it to March 22nd class and shift the rest of the schedule for this class forward. So like if he say he completed this today and because it was going to make him ahead a day, you could literally shift everything by clicking on that, and it would shift everything backwards. So it gives you those options whenever you have some weird scheduling here or whatever. So but if this were the correct day, you click it once and it'll go half yellow, which means you partially completed it. You click it again, it'll be green. That means you completely finished it. If you don't click it at all and this day goes by, then it's going to show up as red after that once this day is gone. Biology, I don't have any specific assignments in here for this because the biology course that we use has its own login and schedule, and so we just use that rather than have him have to check it off in both places. So we don't use that for this, but I do have a slot designated, a time slot designated for it, and then he has to be at the school at 12:15 on this day, I believe. If you click it once, it'll pull that up. 12:29 to 1:32. And so this school also has flex times and all kinds of stuff that changes the schedule. Like 2 days a week, it's one thing, and 3 days a week, it's another. And then one day a month, it's actually they have a late start, so it's even different. So this gave me the flexibility to do this. And let me show you how that works. Change schedule. See how it says every Tuesday and Thursday from 12:29 to 1:32 starting March 13th, because before that he had this class at a different time. Actually, he didn't even have this class because this is health class. He didn't actually have the health class. He had Spanish. So anyway, so you can specify the beginning date of the class, the ending date of the class, and also the times. And so I have this in here twice, one for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule and one for the Tuesday, Thursday schedule. And so I can add or remove individual dates. I can change the start or end date. I could change the class time on a particular date. And I can change the schedule in other ways. If I click on change the schedule in other ways, it gives me essentially where I can just change the whole thing. So let's say, we're going to change this to Monday, Wednesday. Then I can go in here and make the changes that I need to do. You click here and it gives you various options. And then, of course, I can change the time, or I can click on no particular time, and then you can assign the class, and they just, that's how my youngest is set up. I don't have time slots for his, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. But if you don't want a time slot for a class and you just want to, have a log sheet so that you could check off what's done, I'll show that you can click this, okay? And we're going to close. We do not want to save changes, okay? So let's say I want to create a class in this time slot. So I click here. I'm going to click class. Let's say he's going to be taking piano lessons. And this is going to be for Jonathan, and it's going to be, let's say, every Tuesday until 6/7. See, it automatically put the end of the school year in here, and of course you can make these dates whatever you want. And 11:30 to 12:30, where that's not going to work, we're going to do 10:45 to 11:15. 30 minutes. Okay, now I could put individual assignments here. there's an option here for more options. So I could put in an assignment and it gives me these options. It repeat the same assignment over a range of dates. I could put a book reading in here, which is amazing. And I tell you, I used that because when he did the blended English history class, he had like 10 or 12 books he had to read over the course of that class. And I literally was able to assign X number of pages a day in each book, and it would put it in there so he could come in here, see what pages he had to read. If he got behind, I could move assignments to accommodate that. And it was I don't know if you've had kids that have a reading assignment and they procrastinate, and then all of a sudden they're having to read an entire book in the course of a couple of days. This just saved us from that whole potential nightmare. I'm telling you, this right here was worth the price of this product right here. And see, you've got, this kind of thing. My assignments follow a recurring pattern. A specific number of assignments need to be completed by a specific date. That's another really helpful one. So anyway, it gives you all these options here. And so, whoops. I want to repeat the same assignment for a range of dates. Okay. Sorry, I keep going and put my fingers on the wrong keys. Piano. Okay, so now I click OK.
Platypus have small eyes but acute sight and hearing. Underwater, they are blind and deaf, so rely on a sixth sense, electroreception.
Okay, so now it's put a piano lesson on all of these different days, every Tuesday until the end of that date range. I click Save and Close, and now we've got the piano lessons here. And of course there's a schedule conflict, but I just did this as an example. But let's say, oh no, I did this on accident, let's delete. Okay, so we want to delete every week. And it's gone. That simple. Okay, so let's say, let me go and show you my youngest ones. Okay, so you notice here, these do not have any time slot associated with any of these. So under Bible, I was able to list all the different things that we're going to be doing for Bible and specify what days I wanted them on, and then but there's no times associated with that. So I use this as a daily check sheet. And so, each day looks a little bit different because we use Awanas, with our Bible. So like here on Fridays, we do the Awana lesson. I don't have his regular Bible curriculum listed there. The language arts looks pretty similar daily. The vocab we don't do every day, so you'll see it kind of disappear on certain days. Yeah, see, I don't have it here. The social studies is pretty, STEM changes depending upon the day. So, you have all this flexibility and you can do whatever you want. This day is when he does his blended learning, the enrichment classes on Thursday, so that's why this one always looks like this. But you can see how all the different classes are color-coded. You've got the checkbox here. You check them all off. If you forget to check them off and you go in the next day, it'll give you a list of everything that wasn't checked off, and it gives you the option to decide what you want to do with them. You can leave it so your student can go back in and check off what he wants. You can check them off yourself. You could do. It gives you several options that you could do. So that's what we've got going on here. And I'm trying to think if really there's anything else. Like I said, I'd use this thing for when in the fall, when my son was in football, which is another reason why we're using this charter, is so that he can play football for this particular school district. As a homeschooler, we can still play for the local district, but if we ever moved out of this district, then he would have to play for whatever district we lived in for their team. And so by continuing this to be with the charter, if we move out of the district, which we actually are going to be doing that this summer, then he won't be restricted to having to play for the district we moved to. So anyway, I don't know why I felt obligated to mention that, but a lot of people just criticize people who use charters and don't consider it truly homeschooling. And I've done it both ways. My oldest is not in the charter. I homeschool him exclusively, and then my younger two are being homeschooled through the charter. And absolutely, I am heavily involved in all aspects of their learning. I am teaching the youngest one as if I were homeschooling him exclusively. Truly, no difference at all whatsoever, except he does go to the options classes once a week. The older one, who is in the charter for high school, again, even though he has a teacher on record and she does grade his assignments, I am still very heavily involved in his education, and I tutor him and help him with his math. When he gets stuck, I oversee everything and make sure he's on target. I actually run the lab class because I was pushing for that option, and it was sort of like, oh, sounds like a great idea. You want to be in charge of it? Go ahead. That'd be great. And so, yeah, I kind of got myself into that one, but we've been thrilled with the results, and it's worth it to have the hands-on labs and option that we didn't have for the oldest one, who had to do dry labs and just analyze data and do online curriculum. So I'm getting really wordy and off topic, but anyway, my point is that there are so many different ways to homeschool your kids, so please don't come on here and tell me that I'm not truly a homeschooler because we use a charter school. I've heard it all before, and I think that everybody needs to do what's the best fit for their family, and we have options here that many states do not have, and a lot of charters don't have the kind of flexibility we do, but since we do, we take advantage of it. So anyway, I think I've gone over enough here, and I hope this is helpful for you to make a decision, but definitely go on there and just try the 30-day trial.